Hey guys, West Texas Dual Sport here again. Last time, well, for my first video, made a video with my KLR 650. Just thought I'd make one today on the Husky FE 350. Talk about some of the differences, what I like to do on it. As you can see, well, you probably can't tell from the camera, you never can, but this road's pretty rough. I'd never make it down this on the KLR, not a chance. But the FE 350 does just great. This is some pretty deep sand right here. And again, if I were on a bigger, heavier bike, I couldn't do it. I know there's guys out there that can, but I'm not one of them. But man, I sure wasn't planning on buying 2 motorcycles in 1 year. I'm pretty broke from it, but this is what I love to do, and can't imagine spending, you know, there's nothing else I'd want to spend my money on that I get the satisfaction that I do from this. So money well spent, right? Yep, this stuff's pretty loose. Very loose. Man, what a beautiful day. I don't know if you watched the first video or not, but you know, I talked a little bit about having a DRZ 400 for a couple of years, and man, that thing got me back on motorcycles, and you know, it's been the one great love of my life, is getting on a bike and riding. And if you did watch the first video, I probably sounded a little bit like I was knocking it in its off-road ability, and I really didn't mean to do that, because I've watched some guys put it in some places a lot harder than what I'm capable of doing. But I grew up riding 2-strokes, started riding in the 80s, and you know, that was my benchmark for a bike. That's what a bike should be. And they were so much lighter than the DRZ that when I did get the DRZ on dirt, it just didn't feel like what I thought a dirt bike should feel like. So that's why I bought the Husky, and no regrets there, that's for sure. But it ended up being really expensive because I missed the street ability of the DRZ, and so that's why I bought a KLR also. So high class problems, I suppose. But anyway, this bike right now we're doing, well, I'll take you up to 60. Right now we're doing about 60, and I don't have a tack on here. I'm just, you know, I'm just guessing that I'm doing somewhere around 6,500 RPM. And even though Husky's a great bike, I'm not comfortable riding the motor at that RPM all day. You know, this feels pretty good. We're doing about 50, and I could probably do this all day long and it'd be fine. But that being said, you know, you can't just jump on the road and go 20 miles doing 70 to connect some other dirt. It just doesn't work out on this bike. It's purely a dirt bike with a license plate on it. That's really it. But I think it's a great bike. I chose the 350 because I really wanted something that would rev out a little better, more like a 250, and would have a little more torque. But I didn't really want, you know, the big 500. I hear they ride, you know, like they're a little heavier than what they really are because of the crank, you know, the inertia from the crank. There's not a huge weight difference between this and the 501, but this thing just feels super, super light. I had a RMZ 250 for a little while and really enjoyed that. That kind of got me back into, I'm going to slow down a little bit so I can talk for a second. That got me back into the 4-strokes. Well, I shouldn't say it got me back into 4-strokes, it got me into them, period. I hadn't had a real, you know, dirt bike since my 96 RM250. These things are so different, you know, than the 2-stroke, but they do share some similarities. It revs like crazy, you know, just feels a whole lot like a 2-stroke. I think, you know, about the time I quit riding, I went back to school, and I just couldn't afford to ride and couldn't afford to get hurt while I was going to school. I'm actually an RN and work as a nurse, but Yamaha just came out with the first 4-stroke, and I think it was, I don't know, what was it, the 400? But they were pretty heavy. They didn't, you know, they didn't make the power that they do today, and I just wasn't really that impressed. But man, they have definitely come a long way. This thing feels a whole lot like a 2-stroke to me. Some guys will, I don't know, I've watched a few videos where some guys will knock the 350 a little bit because they say it'll flame out pretty easy on some more technical stuff. I haven't ridden anything super technical, but I've been in some situations where I had to lug it a little bit, and I haven't had any problems. I like it. It's got a decent amount of low end torque. It's got good mid-range, and it winds out on top good. It's I don't know, it's really kind of a strange bike because it's so, if I could use one word to describe the power on it, it's linear. It does the same thing at the bottom as it does at the top. What the hell is that? I don't even want to know what that was. But it seems to have the same amount of power everywhere. It's really, really predictable. So, great motor. I'm impressed with it. I haven't done a thing to it other than I did change the rear sprocket from a 52 to a 48 to make it a little more streetable, since this was the dirt version to start out with. And that helped just enough that I can tolerate a little bit of 60 mile an hour every now and then. Issues with the Husky is one issue is the fuel tank's not very big. I can't remember exactly how much it holds, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. I wouldn't want to go much over about 80 miles on it. I'd definitely be looking for some fuel. So if you were considering one of these and doing any distance at all, you'd have to figure out how to carry some fuel or get a bigger fuel tank, or both. Nice pecan orchard here. You probably noticed everything I'm looking at is brown, and that's just pretty much the way it is here in West Texas in the winter. In the summertime, it's a lot prettier, you know, I guess like everywhere else, but it's green. We have some leaves on the trees. It makes a big difference. But in the wintertime, this is just Not a very pretty place. Well, heading back home, and I passed this coming out. I couldn't figure out what the hell it was. Definitely dead. Definitely been dead for a while. Shit. I can't even tell what that was. Looked too big for a deer, but maybe it could have been. Alright, that's kind of weird. Looks like some army guys out in the middle of nowhere. Okay. I did just see that, right? Well, thought I'd stop for a second and do just a quick little walk around of the Husky. I always wanted a Husky. They kind of just have a mystique about them. And as you can see, I've done really nothing to it other than add a light kit. Which, as you can see, the blinkers are pretty small, but they do work. And on the back, and that's a plate kit. I think this kit came from a company called Sick Ass Racing, and it was a little expensive, but everything was pre-cut. It was just plug and play, so super easy. Anyway, there she is. Alright, it's a beautiful day. I gotta go ride. Thanks for watching, everybody.